a lot of soul.
This is Bass Talk Live. Your host, Mark Jeffries and Matt Pangrack. BTL is brought to you by Lowrance, Lose, Strike King Lures, Bass Cat Boats, Ducket Fishing, Spro, AFCO, Big Bite Baits, Sunline, and TH Marine. BTL coming at you. Good Monday, everybody. Welcome once again to BTL Bass Talk Live, where we're going to talk bass fishing and anything else that we want to talk about. Wow, Matthew, a ton to talk about. A lot of stuff went down on Friday. And, man, we are finally going to get back to tournament fishing.
Yeah, the picture is kind of starting to emerge on all three fronts. I know a lot of guys were down at Lake Eufaula in Alabama before it went off limits for the Elite Series, which is back on track for June. FLW came out with their revised schedule for the remainder of the year, and the BPT came out with their schedule. So all three organizations now, and who knows what's going to happen in the future, Mark. But as of now, we have a schedule for all three of the professional bass fishing trails that are currently competing right now.
A lot of fall fish in there. The Elite Series, let's kind of touch on that real quick, man. It turned into the Jamie Hartman 401k retirement plan schedule.
Again. Well, Cayuga was not on the list originally, was it?
I think I don't remember.
Did they add Cayuga? I don't know if it was on the list originally, but yeah, it's a. I'm gonna pull it up right now, and then Lake Fork in November,
which is going to be really, really cool. Fall fishing at Lake Fork. We'll see what the guys can do when they're not up shot. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Are they going to be able to knock? I mean, is it going to be like the white bass Lollapalooza that time of the year?
No, it should be really, really, really good. I have fall fished on Fork before, and it doesn't get pounded as much as it does in the springtime, but you'll see some patterns that people may or may not be aware of that will
like what
bleed some success. There'll be a lot of offshore stuff.
Well, we see
a lot of top water.
That's what I'm saying. Well, we see those fish smashing buzz baits and big walking baits and ploppers and stuff that time of the year.
Especially if it's cloudy, rainy, nasty. That makes for even a better day down there. But you'll see some stuff that people aren't used to seeing on Lake Fork simply because it's the fall.
All right, here's the revised schedule for there. Are we just going to go into it right now?
Yeah.
We got tons to top. We actually have a great guest on today. Speaking of Lake Fork.
We're going to have Keith Combs on. Real quick, let me do this real quick. I need to make sure that everybody knows what's going on the next 2 weeks. This next 2 weeks, jam-packed. All right, today we're going to have Keith Combs on. Tomorrow, Zell Rowland. On Wednesday, Byron Velvick. And then on Thursday, I made contact with Stephen Browning.
Yes.
He's going to come on the show. I'm going to be doing the show solo because you have stuff going on. Stephen Browning's going to come on and talk about the 1984 Bassmaster Classic.
That's the year I was born.
All right.
The Bassmaster Classic?
Yeah. You remember the story that we talked about last week about what he did as a 17-year-old?
Oh, he drove Ray Scott to the boat ramp.
I called him up. He said, you would not believe some of the stories that went down that morning and some of the stuff that went down. So we're going to have Steven on. He's going to be on with me on Thursday, a special show where we actually talk about that special Bassmaster Classic of which he was driving Ray Scott around. Then on Monday, all right, we're going to get clarity on the fish story. Roy Hawk is going to be on Monday. And when I made contact with him, honestly, Matt, he didn't really want to talk about it.
Why?
He has his reasons, all right? And I'm not even going to get into it. But we will let him discuss this whole
Is it controversial?
Thing. No, there's no controversy. There's nothing. He just doesn't want to really talk about it. But he did say that he is willing to come on the show and just, kind of glaze over it a little bit and kind of fill people in a little bit.
Is he going to confirm that he caught it?
Yeah, he probably will do that.
So we had Josh Bertrand on last week, and it kind of came up. You knew about this story. I did not know about this story.
Brent Ehlers talked about it.
Brent Ehlers talked about it, too.
Yeah.
Supposedly, I guess not supposedly, I guess he did. Roy Hawk in practice for the BPT, where they get the Lake Fork, which was the last event they had, they get a day and a half practice.
Yeah.
Apparently, Roy Hawk caught a 16-pounder.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it, so we're actually going to get it all.
But what he did say is, I want to talk about why I suck on the BPT. He said, I would rather talk about some of the frustrations, trials, and tribulations that I've had this season and pass it on to the fans than talk about that 16-pounder.
Right up your alley then, Mark.
So I said,
the
okay,
plant
man.
is leaning in my direction now towards the positivity.
Bring it on, all right? So that's on Monday. Tuesday, somebody is wanting to get back into the game. I talked to this guy for like 30 minutes. Kevin Worth is going to be on the show Tuesday and actually is dabbling a little bit on getting back in the game.
Well, we can do the first half where me and him talk about horses, and then the second half about his proposed return.
No horse talk. I mean, we will touch on that a little bit.
You've had professional bowlers in studio, Mark.
He is obviously still working in the horse racing business entity, whatever. But yeah, dude, he's thinking about getting back into it and has actually fished a couple of derbies. And, it's been 12 years since he won the Blue Trophy at Old Hickory.
I do.
Been a while. So Kevin Worth on Tuesday. Then on Wednesday, have you seen this YouTube series yet with Edwin Evers?
Yeah.
Unbelievable from a production standpoint.
Project D, he's dropping some coin in that.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, it is off the charts from a production standpoint. So we're going to have Edwin on Wednesday to talk about his Project E project. And then on Thursday next week, tentatively, we're going to have Davey Hyde on. All right, to talk about just the schedule, the way things set up, some of the stories from the past, some of the stories from a very, very limited season so far this year. And, Matt, we've talked about it. Some guys have only fished 2 days on the Elite Series.
Yeah, well, they're fixing to fish a lot more.
Back to back to back on the Jamie Hartman swing. So there you have it, folks. Just an incredible 2 weeks of shows, and I will continue to try and book out. Even when the tournament season kicks back into gear, we will have guys on, but until then, we're going to try and fill it with some very interesting and very character-rich guests to talk about some of the stories that have taken place in the past.
Well, let's knock out the Elite Series because we have some stuff to talk about.
Yeah.
With the FLW Tour and the BPT and some of the things that are happening over on that side. But the Elite Series, like you mentioned, 2 days, and they still have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 events on the calendar that they are planning as of now to get in.
Yeah, now they moved the Sabine River to next year, which I think was a great move.
I don't think anybody is calling up bats going, what are you talking about? That was my chance at limits of 14 inchers.
Yeah, it's going to showcase the area and the fans and that whole thing next year. Great move.
All right.
Moving it to 2021.
June 10th through 13th, Lake Eufaula. July 14th through 17th, Cayuga. July 23rd through 26th, St. Lawrence River. July 30th through August 2nd, Lake Champlain. Yeah. That, my friend, is a month of back-to-back events in New York. And were you surprised, too, that they're able to secure the permits and work with the host? If there was one state in today's climate that I thought they would have the most trouble getting permits and events and agreed to, it would be those three.
I agree, man. I agree 100%. I'm shocked. Now, I understand, and I think everybody out there knows that there is a concentration of this horrible disease taking place in the metropolitan areas.
Right. Now, this, if you've been to any of these locations, it is as far away from the metropolitan areas as you can get.
Yeah.
Now, that being said, the next state that they have secured a permit in, apparently, is Michigan.
Well, yeah.
And everyone knows what was going on in Michigan. You couldn't fish in Michigan a week ago.
Yeah.
So August 20th through 23rd, Lake St. Clair, Michigan. So you have, wow. Eufaula is going to be an 80-pounder. Cayuga will be an 80-pounder. St. Lawrence will be an 80-pounder. Champlain should be an 80-pounder. Lake St. Clair will be an 80-pounder. And then I don't even... Okay, I know of a couple guys who are not looking forward to Santee Cooper in October. Apparently it can get a little tough that time of the year.
I couldn't tell you, man.
We could get Dave on to talk about that, but October 8th. So here we go. We finally have fall fishing on the Bassmaster Elite Series.
It's so cool.
On famed fisheries that get drilled in February, March, and April. The Elite Series is going to be there in October and November. We got a fall season, Mark.
It's so cool.
October 8th through 11th, Santee Cooper. Yeah. October 16th through 19th, Chickamauga. November 5th through 8th, Texas Fest, Lake Fork. Yeah. That is going to be cool.
Yeah, we'll see how this whole New York thing goes, man. Because there could be some, I obviously all across the world, there could be some things that take place, but to have 3 of the events in New York, you were dead on, man. It's pretty amazing that the communities were able to step up and
Michigan and South Carolina.
We'll see. It's going to be very, very cool to watch these guys catch fish in New York, because New York is a very, very special place when it comes to bass fishing and tournament fishing, and the iconic place of Champlain and the other 3. It's just going to be really fun to watch, Matt. Very fun to watch.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So what else we got? Did the open schedules?
Yes. So the open schedules, the Easterns, you remember they got one Eastern in August 6th through 8th, Oneida, September 23rd to 25th on Hartwell, October 29th through 31st on Cherokee. Then the Centrals, the first 2 have actually stayed the same. So June 18th through 20th on the River, Arkansas River, Sam Rayburn, September 10th through 12th, and then Neely Henry was moved to October 22nd through 24th in Louisville. Kind of along the same lines there as Santee Cooper. I'm not really sure what to expect Louisville November 19th through 21st. So the guys who are fishing, we're talking the Brad Hallmans, the Scott Martins, the Andrew Upshaws, Todd Castledines, all those guys. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They have 7 events left, and let's see if I can piece this together. They have June, August, September, October, November. If you are a fall guy trying to make the Elite Series fishing all 8, that's looking pretty good for you.
That it is. Yeah.
So
Rayburn in September. I want to see what that's like.
All right,
it gets a little stingy.
I agree. Here's the transition where we transition in. We're ready to transition, Mark?
Yes.
All right. I'll just go ahead and say this. The last event for the FLW Pro Circuit is the Tackle Warehouse title. Just the title, and it's all caps.
Yeah.
August 24th through 29th. So what have we complained about for the past, 3 years, too, as the tournaments on top of each other?
Yeah.
They are a competition. So you are going to get the last 3 Elite Series events, Santee, Chickamauga, and Texas Fest. Man, that's going to be the only show in town.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
You're right, man.
All right, big news out of FLW and BPT. Which one do you want to start? Go ahead and break it down.
Go ahead, man.
Well, let's start with the BPT. A lot of people wondering when they were going to get back to action. They will get back to action at heavy hitters. But what's the twist, Mark?
Everybody's in.
All 80 guys.
And it's a points event.
Yep.
So
June 7th through 12th, heavy hitters, $745,000 purse. They're still doing the big bass. It's like $25,000, $50,000, $100,000. Everybody gets paid, guaranteed $4,000 paycheck.
Yep.
With a no entry fee. So hey, you're actually making money. You're not breaking even by showing up to that tournament.
Yeah.
So outside of the Classic or the Cup, that's like the only event that's like that.
Yeah.
And it's a points event, and then it concludes on Lake Champlain. New York is going all out on the permits. Lake Champlain, July 10th through 15th. is the 5th and final stage for the BPT. That's it. They're done. Red Crest for 21 decided after 5 events. The Cups, I believe, decided after 5 events.
Yeah.
I'd heard they were going to do some stuff to try to get everybody at least into a cup or not. I don't know if they're going to do that now or not.
Yeah,
I don't really see anything on the Cups, but it's a 5-event schedule for the BPT. That's done the week after the 4th of July, Mark.
And so how many were they supposed to have?
They were supposed to have 8 stages plus heavy hitters.
Right.
So that would have been 9.
Plus the 4 cups.
Right. Now there will be... I think they're still planning on doing the Cups. I'm not sure how they're planning on doing it. The people I've talked to said they are planning. Maybe I missed it in this press release.
Yeah.
It's a long press release.
Yeah.
And then they'll have the they're still doing the World Championship deal.
What?
Like
that's the
Red
Crest.
No, from the Cups. I think. I don't know. They have to film something else too. So there will be like fresh programming coming out. But as far as watching on the live stream, you're talking July 10th through 15th, and then it's done, which creates a problem. You have anything else about the schedule, Mark?
On
the BPT?
Well, the whole thing was driven by television. I mean, there was a lot of positioning. And,
how is it driven by television?
Because they have to have X number of shows done by a certain time to meet their sponsor commitment that sponsors have already paid for from a television standpoint. So they were very limited to get in X number of
so
events.
Hypothetically, if they had an event in August, September, October, like the Elite Series is, they would be losing money because they wouldn't have anywhere on TV to put it?
It cost a ton of money to be able to do that, and based upon...
And they recoup that money through TV?
I think so.
I'm serious. I'm trying to understand
I think money has already been allocated for that television programming, both from a budgeting standpoint and from a revenue standpoint.
Okay.
So after that... Okay, the season was supposed to be over. They had everything in. Everything was on schedule. Everything from a budgetary standpoint was done. Now you throw the wrench in here where they don't fish for X number of days. They get 0 television done because they don't have the events, and they have an August, whatever the date is, in August deadline to have all this in. The other thing, too, is you got to understand, even if they were to have events after that from a television standpoint, you have other programming
that has been scheduled.
Yeah. Right, because you still have a number of other sporting events that potentially fill those spots. So
basically they would lose. They would basically, make it simple. They would lose money if they had events after the date for which they had TV hours allocated.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is as simple as it gets.
That's about as basic.
Layman's terms.
Now, could they have done some other things? Maybe. But once again, man, it costs a lot of money to support the format and the platform that they have. It really does. So if you don't have the money, you can't do it. If the sponsors didn't want to do it that way, and I'm sure there was massive communication taking place between Major League Fishing, the sponsors, and the anglers, and this is the direction that they decided to go with, because I think it truly was a financial decision. All right, it wasn't a matter of, hey, man, we want to fish. Yeah, they want to fish. But when you're spending an enormous amount of money each event to be able to put these events on, you just can't do it if the money's not there. All right? You're off plan, and could they have pulled it off? Maybe. Who knows? But once again, they would have continued to dip into reserves, and would the sponsors step up and do it? A lot of unknowns. So they decided, look, we're going to do 5 events. We're going to work toward 2021. We're going to do the best that we can with what we got for the remainder of the year, and then we'll see what happens when 2021 rolls out.
Now,
so what they did was, hey guys, we still want you to fish. Did they not?
Yeah, this is where things get interesting. So in November, I believe it went through November 1st, Mark, was the date, if my memory serves me properly. Okay. That it went through that MLF took over FLW. So now MLF owns FLW. Well, FLW has done a really good job as far as keeping everyone in the loop as far as, potential dates upcoming for the FLW Tour. They got the first 3 events in. Remember, right as everything was starting to shut down, they went ahead and got the Alabama tournament in.
Yeah.
So they're kind of halfway through their season. So then the press release comes out on Friday that FLW has updated, and I hope you're still following us. There's a lot of dates and organizations and stuff flying around here, but that FLW has updated their dates. This is the updated schedule. June 23rd through 26th, Chickamauga. July 29th through August 1st, Mississippi River. August 11th through 14th, Detroit River. And then the title, which is the top 50 anglers, August 24th through 29th. So I see several... They basically changed venues for some of them. I think Cherokee was on there.
On the FLW side.
Yeah. Hartwell was originally on there. Cherokee and Dardanelle was on there. So their regular season will be 6 events instead of 7, and that's how they will decide who fishes in the title. They had 150 when they started the year, and it appears, based on this press release, Mark, as though they will end the season with 200 anglers. How in the world does that happen?
Well, if they get 50 BPT guys to go over and fish, then obviously the numbers will increase. So what they're doing is they're saying, hey, man, we're not going to have anything after August. So if you want to, go ahead and fish the FLW Tour.
The abbreviated season, this is in the press release, the abbreviated seasons for both MLF and FLW enable FLW to extend an invitation to Major League Fishing pros for the final 3 events, which will grow the field to create super tournaments. Air quotes. All current Tackle Warehouse Pro Circuit anglers will retain their spots on the roster, but the field size will be expanded to include any MLF pros who commit to compete in all 3 events. Obviously, they would also have to pay the $54, $55, $56 $100 entry fee. Yeah. They're not eligible to make any of the points, any of the title or whatever. And then, if the points are just based on if you started the year on the FLW, so it doesn't matter where those guys finish.
They have no impact on the
basically,
points.
Remember they did the one-off Bass Fest there on Chickamauga and stuff where it counted for the points. And they're pretty jazzed about this, Mark, as a quote from
jazzed?
They're pretty jazzed. The major changes to the remainder of the season offer us the opportunity to create what will arguably be the most memorable bass fishing tournaments in history, Fennell said. FLW has extended an invitation to all MLF pros to compete with us. Now, here's the deal. With 200 boats as opposed to 150, they're obviously adding some more money to the pot. So the total purse expands from $820,000 to $1,279,000. First place goes from $100,000 to $125,000. All the incentives stay the same, and then I believe, if I read it right, FLW pay out $100,000 through 100th place. So
that's a lot of places.
If you get 200, well, they were paying out half now, but they had some 7,500 and then
still 5,000 a lot of places
back.
though.
So a top half of the field, which it's been in the past, but 200 boats, 100 grand.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Once again, I mean they're trying to do a couple of things here. They're trying to take care of their guys. At the same time, they're trying to give them an opportunity to get exposure. They're trying to... That's what these guys do. They fish for a living. And obviously, because of the restraints and everything that they're dealing with on the BPT side, they were like, you know what, guys? Hey, we own this organization too. If you want to, go fish. If you don't, so be it. Leave it up to them. What are you doing?
I've talked to...
I mean, they are professional anglers. This is a professional event. Let them fish.
I've talked to FLW Pro Circuit anglers on both sides of the fence. And I don't know if there was a vote to allow this, if they were told. I'm not sure how it went down.
Yeah.
But you have Major League Fishing pros whose season is over, who are now. What time are we supposed to have Keith Combs on?
I already texted him. I texted him. I said, hey, we're running late.
This will be 10 minutes.
I said, hey, we're running late.
I feel strongly about this, Mark.
Have at it, man.
So now you'll have BPT pros that are competing on the FLW pro circuit. If I get off the rail, stop me. When MLF purchased FLW and the organization, the entire thing, the premise was on building a clear path to the top level, which is the Bass Pro Tour, no entry fee, so that the average guy can start out at youth, high school, college, BFL, Toyota Series, FLW Pro Circuit, BPT, and have a recognizable brand, make it all the way up to it. Yeah, are there glitches in that as far as how much entry fee it actually costs to get to the BPT with the 2-year and all that? Yeah, but that's the whole premise.
Yep.
Hey, we are going to keep the pro circuit separate. It's going to have its own live stream. It's going to have its own sponsors. It has its own website and magazine. And this is where the up-and-coming anglers, even if you've been on the FLW tour for 15 years like some of these guys are, can build a brand, build a name, create a sponsor portfolio, let the fans see their personalities, build their resume so that they are in a great position when they reach the BPT.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
They signed up for this at the beginning of the year. They increased the entry fees. They're fishing for the 2-year average. The top 10 then go to the BPT.
Mm-hmm.
And now, if I'm let's use one of your favorite guys for example. Well, no, let's not. Let's leave names out of this. 100%, because I don't know. There's some before.
Talking about Miles?
Or Gray Buck.
Okay.
If I've got what they would say the top 50 of the top anglers in the world that are fishing the BPT, that are now fishing the remainder of the season on the FLW pro circuit. Yeah, the payout's better. Yeah, you could say, oh, you got to beat them and stuff. That takes the shine off of these 150 guys who are trying to make a name in it for himself. You don't mean to tell me that when all this stuff comes and when they have the live, if they have 5 cameras out and there's 4 BPT guys and 1 FLW Pro Circuit guy, that's 4 FLW Pro Circuit guys with 35 rookies coming out this year that I don't get to watch. I don't get to become a fan of, see how he interacts. If I'm a sponsor, I don't get to watch him on the water and say, hey, I want him on my team, because you're watching established guys who had paid a no entry fee, signed up for Major League Fishing, and now it feels like they're treating the FLW Pro Circuit, in my opinion, like feeder system that these guys can just go down and exploit so the big boys have somewhere to play, and screw it if you step on the toes, we'll throw some more money in the pot, but we're not going to give these guys that we promised a clear path at the beginning of this and up the entry fees. Now you've got to play second fiddle and fish in the shadow of the guys who are fishing a tour that decided to stop the season in the beginning of July, and you're just chucking them down to the FLW Pro Circuit. If I'm on the FLW Pro Circuit, if I'm a fan, if I want to learn these new guys, that pisses me off, Mark. I don't want any part of that. Now it's saying, hey, you're the collection part. You're how we're going to get through this.
Yeah.
And I know that there are guys on the BPT who through their personal sponsors, contracts, are kind of forced to pay this $5,600 and fish these 3 tournaments, so they hit their X number of tournaments, so that their sponsors, they meet their sponsor obligations.
Look, dude, I'm going to break this down, and I detect your bitterness. I'm going to break this.
It's not bitter.
I'm going to break this down to the simplest tournament fishing that exists, which is the Thursday night jackpot. All right? You have a core group of guys that fish the Thursday night jackpot. All right. They're fishing, if they win, maybe they win $300-400. All right. Now all of a sudden, here comes Joe Pro Fisherman, who decides to fish the Thursday night jackpot. You're going to have a group of people that say, wow, that's pretty cool that Joe Pro Bass Fisherman's fishing our Thursday Night Jackpot. And then you're going to have a pot of guys that are like, what the heck is this guy doing here? He has no business fishing this. He's a professional. All right? Can you relate to that? It's the same.
No, it's totally different.
How is it different, dude? Explain to me how it's different.
Because you have 150 guys. Now, I grant a lot of these guys have other jobs that fish on the FLW Pro Circuit, but you have guys that this is their career. The Thursday Night Jackpot is not your career. This is your career. And
I'm gonna let you
as
go.
much as they've talked about on the BPT, as these guys, they're holding them to a different standard. They're true professional athletes. They don't have any entry fees. It's a catch, weigh, release. It's so much better for the fish. And now they're just going to say, hey, here, you can finish out the season, but go pay $5,600. Go disrupt the clear path ladder building angler fan sponsor relationships that we said was this clear path, and put 5 in your live well and weigh them in.
Yeah. Well, look, dude, I think my comparison is dead on, because you said it yourself. The vast majority of FLW guys, this is not their main source of income. Is it their path to try and reach where they want to be? Absolutely. MLF has already said, look, we don't want to impede those guys. We're not going to give these guys points. You're still going to get the points in your quest to reach a certain point from a point level. And the other thing is what happens if Gray Buck goes out and absolutely smashes them? Is he going to get the exposure if he catches him? If he performs? Yeah, he's still going to get he's still going to get the exposure if you go out and perform.
And I get it, they're expanding the live coverage and there's more, but what if Gray Buck finishes 6th and there's 5 BPT guys ahead of him and he gets to go out with no coverage?
You know what I'm going to say to that? Finish higher. Finish higher.
Against guys that aren't supposed to even be in the field?
It doesn't matter.
That didn't
qualify
for it?
See, that's part of the problem with the young generation.
This is not the problem with this.
You do not want me to go down this path, and I'm not going to go down it, but I will say this, all right? The word entitlement has taken on an unbelievable different characteristic in this day and age than it did 15, 20 years ago. And everybody seems to think that just because you don't perform, you're still entitled to certain things. Look, all right, the world, the nation, this industry is dealing with something that
this has nothing to do with entitlement.
You just said that he's entitled to the coverage. I
didn't say he was entitled. I said he's not going to get the coverage.
Then he's
that they
entitled
promised.
Dude, let me finish. Let me finish, all right? These are times that nobody thought that we were going to experience.
Totally agree.
All right? There are tough decisions that had to be made to try and keep this thing in the best interest of all parties involved. The anglers, the sponsors, and the fans. Do you seriously think that a BPT guy had any intention in fishing the FLW Tour?
No.
But you still have to give them an opportunity to make a living based upon this unforeseen situation, of which there were a zillion scenarios.
You have an opportunity right here.
Try.
They fish the BPT. They're not fishing after the 4th of July. They have one tournament. The Elite Series has 7 tournaments after the 4th of July.
Just explained
the FLW Tour has 3 tournaments after the 4th of July.
So just because you signed up to fish the FLW Tour, that you think you are entitled to not compete against anybody else because of a unforeseen event that nobody in this world thought was going to happen. That's where that sense of entitlement comes in. Look, are there people upset that are fishing that these guys? Yeah, but just like I said, it's just like the Thursday Night Jackpot. Bottom line is, you know what, guys? If this is what you want to do, if this truly is what you want to do, go out, work hard, and catch them. Bottom line. Remember, I've heard this 1,000 times in interviews. It's not who you're fishing against. It's you against the fish. Work harder, catch them, and perform, and you're going to make a ton of money. Don't worry about who's fishing. Worry about yourself. Work hard, All right? And don't feel like that you are entitled to anything. The only thing that you're entitled to is opportunity. And the opportunity that is there, no matter who is fishing, to make and establish your career as one of the best anglers in 2020. It doesn't matter who's fishing the tour. So don't feel like that you're being slighted or you're entitled just because somebody else is fishing your trail. Work your tail off, go out, catch them, represent your sponsors, and life will be good. Bottom line.
I understand. It's perfectly honest, and I don't hold anything against any BPT angler who would fish this. I understand a lot of them have to. A lot of them want to. I like the fact that they'll have somewhere to fish. It's great for them. But along your lines, then, why do you even have any qualifying for any tour then? If it's go out, perform, catch them, don't get slighted, then why not just let anybody get in? The first 200 who have the $5,000, regardless of who it is. Why do you have the qualifying? Why do you have the stringent processes? Because it's level across the board. It's the same thing, and you're investing so much money into this that you're trusting with this organization that it's going to be this system with these anglers, with this payout for the remainder of the year. That's, I think, part of the thing that you're entitled to when you catch them in the Toyota Series, when you catch them in the Bassmaster Opens, and you make the Pro Circuit or you make the Elite Series. That's what makes it so much different than the Thursday night fruit jar or a just pay your entry fee and fish it tournament.
But you got to understand, Matt, this is an unforeseen situation of which decisions had to be made. And I think that this decision was made to try and really make things the best for all three entities involved.
I get that. And I 100% get that.
And, you know, on the instant feedbacks, there's a couple of people on there. Mark's back in Boyd. Mark's back in. No, I'm not. I'm like trying to get people to realize that situations happen. And what you try and do, you try and make the best out of those situations. And it is fortunate that in this game, it doesn't matter what the situation is, as long as you go out, you work your tail off, and you perform. Bottom line, forget about what the characteristics are. If you know what the rules are, if you know what the guidelines are, if you know what is expected for you to make money in this game, then work your tail off and go out and do it. And don't make excuses that, these guys came down and they shouldn't be fishing. You know what? Go catch them. Bottom line. Just go catch them.
And basically what you said in this press release, Kathy Fennell said it is an understatement to say that we are in historic times in professional bass fishing, and that's exactly what we're dealing with, a situation our industry has never faced before. We had no choice but to shift some of our previous host commitments to finish out the 2020 season. We are confident that the revamped schedule will make for a very exciting, but I mean, I don't know if it'll be the most memorable bass fishing tournaments in history. It's all the guys fishing where they fished a year and a half before. It's the same damn thing as 2018, basically.
I don't know why.
A giant FLW tour field that features Brian Thrift, David Dudley, Andy Morgan, whoever else wants to go back and fish it. You might have a few bass guys, but 90% of them have fished FLW too.
Yeah. See,
and there's also an article on FLW where it talks about, you know, it's got 8 guys that talk about how happy they are about it. And I understand 100th place.
Yeah.
$10,000.
You know, Matt in Alabama on the instant feedback says, Mark, the problem is the rules changed. Yes, the rules did change. And the only reason that the rules changed is because of a situation that has occurred in this nation and in the world that nobody foresaw this whole situation happening. If the coronavirus was not in existence and we weren't dealing with the situation that we are dealing with from a pandemic, we wouldn't even be talking about this. That is why the rules changed. Okay? Did the rules change? Yes, they did. But the rules changed because of a situation that nobody could even have dreamed that this was going to take place. You seriously think that back in the month of February, we would be talking and throwing out the concept of the BPT guys fishing on the FLW Tour?
Yes, 100%. Because I've had those conversations before the coronavirus hit, Mark.
That what? The guys wanted to fish them?
Yes.
They wanted to fish them.
Yes.
Even though they were going to have 9 events, they felt like
Dude, you have 8 events on the BPT. If you suck, you fish 16 days a year as a professional bass angler.
Okay.
There were guys that wanted more.
Okay. Was there not a rule or a format or whatever that said they could fish the Costas if they wanted to?
Right. Some guys want to fish the pro circuit.
All right. They could have fished the Costas. Once again, man, you're trying to protect people that don't perform.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are. You just said you went out 16 days and you sucked. Here's the solution, folks. Catch them. Perform.
Right.
Make money.
And that's my whole point.
Jeez.
If you're on the BPT, you're held to a higher standard, a different standard than the average angler, which is what they... Yeah, then don't go down and fish the pro circuit if you don't catch them on the BPT.
Dude, they wouldn't have if it wouldn't have been for this situation. I mean, you're really hung up on the fact that these guys are going down because you're giving the impression that you feel like that these guys are going to take money out of these guys' pockets.
100%. There will be money taken out of the pockets of some of the guys who would have cashed checks and finished lower.
You know what? Catch them then. Catch more fish. Don't make excuses that, the only reason I didn't cash was because somebody else came down and fished this tour. Dude, work your tail off. Get better. Catch more fish. It's simple as that. I mean, you are compensated based upon your performance. All right? And if you don't perform, if you don't, that's the way life is, Matt. All right? Why do you think a lot of people are on commission sales? Because they feel like that they can go out and they can sell more than somebody who's just guaranteed a X number of dollars. Because they put in the work, they do what is necessary to sell more, whatever they're selling, and they get compensated for it. Fishing is no different.
I'm just looking at it from an angler perspective of someone who's fishing the Costa and Opens levels and, looking to try to, you build the brand, the name, what a day of live does, what a top 5 performance does.
Look,
saying that you're fishing somewhere, you have this opportunity, and then it just changes over time.
But this thing is survival mode right now.
I understand.
We are in survival mode, and all aspects are in survival mode.
And like I said, who knows? Maybe the FLW voted 150-0 to let these guys come back to fish. Maybe they said, hey, if you guys don't want this, we don't. And they said, dude, we would love it. Come back down. Yeah. Maybe I'm totally wrong on that. I don't know.
I just think, man, some things... there's people out there, the classification of people being soft. All right. And I see it every day. I see a dramatic change in the way and the expectations and the word and the whole scenario of entitlement is that has evolved into something that just blows my mind over the last 20 years. It's insane.
This has nothing to do with entitlement.
Oh my gosh!
It has nothing to do with entitlement, Mark.
Okay.
That's why I don't understand where you even come up with that.
Because of the statements that you made about that they were, they signed up for this, and there's no reason that these guys should be coming down fishing because they are entitled to participate in the format that they signed up for. Well, you know what?
Yeah.
Things change. And this is a big change. And I'm not going to go down that path again because I think I've stated my point that this whole situation wouldn't even exist.
How is it not entitlement for the BPT guys to say, our season's over, let's go fish the AAA then and pay our entry fee and miss money? How can you say that it's an entitlement for one, but then it's not entitlement that the BPT guys don't say,
they're not entitled to that. They don't have to do it, man.
But to have that option, I'm saying.
They don't have to do it. That is, see, you are muddy when it comes to understanding what entitlement means.
No, I'm not.
They are not entitled to anything. Those guys
they
can
feel like they're entitled to have they have the option. Just like the tour guys have the option not to finish out the season.
Dude, they can do whatever they want to do. And you know what? If the guys on the FLW side don't like these guys fishing, you know what? They have a choice. They can continue to fish and try and improve their game, or they can go back home. They have a choice. Everybody has choices. But to enrich yourself in this attitude of woe's me.
It's not a woe is me or anything having to do with soft, Mark.
That is the whole premise that you're basing this argument on.
Go back and listen to it. I don't think I said anything about woe is me or soft.
No, you didn't. You didn't. But that is the perceived implied message that you're trying to convey, that these guys shouldn't be coming down and fishing with these guys. You know what? They don't have to. But if they choose to, everybody out there has got to do one thing. And in order to get paid, you got to catch them. And sometimes people truly lose track of what the mission is: to represent, perform, and get paid. That's it. It doesn't matter what you're fishing. It really, really doesn't. And people have choices. You have a choice. You can either do it or you can go home. It's simple as that. If you don't want to do it because you're upset because other people are fishing in it, then don't fish. But if you want to step up and see what kind of game you have, then fish. This has nothing to do with me sticking up for Boyd. All I'm doing is I'm pointing out the fact is that if you want to perform at the highest level of professional bass fishing, be it AAA, AA, single A, 4A, Major League, NBA, whatever it is, all right, prove your game.
Let's get Keith Combs on. I want to ask him about a chartreuse powder blueback crankbait. If hopefully he didn't listen to the first segment of the show, he's probably got us blocked by now.
No, I'm sure he's chuckling it, but it's a very, very unique, challenging situation that, once again, we are dealing with simply because of one of the worst economic and social situations in the history of the world. So we'll see what happens. But the good news is, hey, we're going to have tournament bass fishing here shortly.
Who's going to get more hate mail over that one, me or you? 50-50?
I don't know, man. You know, people... that's the beauty of this show, is people have opinions. People submit their opinions. People send us emails, and we're able to talk about, what we can. Bottom line is this. Look, we are very, very fortunate that we even have the platforms that are out there for guys to earn a living chasing around the green and brown fish. And you get paid by doing primarily, the more money you make, the better you catch them. So be thankful for that. All right, we're going to take a break, come back with our guest here on a Monday, Keith Combs. Everybody stay tuned.
The ultimate fishing system starts with Lowrance HDS Live. Upgrade to HDS Live with a Ghost trolling motor, live sight transducer, or Structure Scan 3D, and get up to $500 cash back.
Yeah, you care about gear ratios, inches per turn, and ball bearings, but most importantly, you want reliability and dependability in the equipment you use. Luz doesn't cut corners when it comes to the gear they build. The new Speed Spool LFS is the best $99 reel in the market. Go see for yourself.
We've paired one of the most iconic hulls in the history of bass boats with a proven lineup of trusted accessories. We're bringing you best-in-class value and performance, leaving others in your wake. Turnkey value, turnkey performance. The Pantera 2 is an overachiever in the 19-foot category. Once you hit the throttle, you'll feel the rush, and there's no looking back.
Kevin, what are you doing here?
Oh, I'm just filling in for Billy.
I need 660 shad crankbaits in the Series 5 model.
We're out.
You're not out. You got all kinds of them right there.
We're out.
Kevin, I need 6.
Have a lollipop.
I do not want a lollipop.
Have a lollipop.
Do you have it the sexy shad color?
At Duckett Fishing, we have assembled the top pros in the country to help us design rods to give you a competitive advantage. Castability, strength, durability, action, sensitivity, weight and balance, and consistency. Combine that with the best warranty in the industry, and you have rods that are pro-driven.
Duck It Fishing, pro-driven.
You've been waiting all week for this, and Sunline wants to make sure you're ready for it with bulk spools of all your favorite fishing lines.
Oh, it's so fun.
Bulk up with Sunline.
All right, we are back on a Monday. Sorry about that. I got stuck looking at the instant feedback. It's blowing up today, man. We're kicking the week off very, very active there, Matthew. Are you there? Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just responding to people who agree with me on social media.
That's all right.
Just giving them the old thumbs up.
Yeah. You know, I would say so far right now it's about 50-50.
I might say 60-40.
Okay, I don't care. I really don't, man.
60-40 leaning towards me typically in one of our bigger arguments is considered a win for you.
Because, what, do people think I'm wrong all the time? Is that what it is?
Maybe we should just bring in much better arguers than me. Or worse arguers than me. That way you can win. Let's just bring in some professional arguers.
No, look, man. We will obviously talk about this some more. I'm just going to say one more thing real quick, and then we're going to bring in Keith. I'm going to reiterate that this whole situation, once again, would not take place if it wasn't for what we are dealing with. And who made the comment? Was it on YouTube? It's the argument. Or the statement made was, it sounds like a business guy arguing with an angler. Is that what the statement was?
Yeah, let me see if I can find this. The YouTube comments have blown up on this one.
Yeah.
And basically, this is what we have here is a perspective of an angler, Pangrak, and businessman, Jeffries. You know what else would not have taken place if it wasn't for the coronavirus and the tournaments?
What's that, man?
Keith COMBS. Fishing Lake Fork November 5th through 8th.
Yeah, we're going to pick his brain on that. I don't know how much juice he'll give up, but...
Can you not crank him on Chickamauga in October? And on Santee Cooper? And on Lake St. Clair? And on Champlain?
Yeah.
I mean, I would venture to say we might see some deep crank action. Well, obviously at Cayuga, but in the last 4 events of the year, would those not set up for his wheelhouse? And then isn't the TTBC typically in the fall?
Yeah.
And he's won, 11 of those?
Quite a few.
He uses the TTBC cups as like fruit bowls now. He's got so many of them.
That's pretty good. All right, let's bring him in. Keith, you there, man?
Hey, guys. What's going on?
Well... All right, let's welcome Keith COMBS to the show. And Keith, it has been a fiery Monday morning, and we're sorry we're a little delayed on that, but we want to bring you in, get you on the show, and I really would like to kick things off with getting your thoughts on what the revised schedule is like that was announced last week.
Well, I mean, we're trending more into a summer and fall schedule this year. I'm excited for the change. I mean, I'm like everybody else. I'm just ready to get back at it at this point. But we're going to get to go to some places that we've fished like Fork. But the cool thing is we're going to be going there when there's not a lot of history on the places. Santee Cooper. I don't think we've seen a lot of national events there in the fall in a long time. So. Chickamauga as well, so I like the schedule. I love the lakes, but those times of the year, it's going to be a different twist. There's just not much information available. That's a good thing.
Keith, how much input from the anglers did Bass kind of reach out for looking for this schedule? I mean, you guys go back to back to back in New York. You actually get in the full season, so to speak. Mark has pointed out numerous times, or some guys to this point, towards the end of May, that have only fished 2 days. But was that always the plan? Did they kind of talk to you how much you guys want to fish? Do you want to spread it out more? Do you want to back end it in the fall? Or was it just kind of wait and see what comes out?
I mean, I think, they had to do what they had to do to get the schedule in and also work around the opens and all their other events. I wasn't really involved in any kind of scheduling or anything, but I mean, I know they asked, some anglers, would it be a huge burden for you to have 3 in a row away from home? And I mean, most guys are in the same boat I am. Let's just get back to fishing. Some guys it didn't work too well, of course, but I think it's a good schedule. I'm excited that we're going to get to fish a full season. That's the main thing I think that I appreciate from Bass is, they're giving us a full season. We can go out and we can make a living.
All right, I was catching up on the instant feedback. Somebody said that I was going to insult your cranking capabilities.
Who's?
Keith Combs.
Why would you insult?
I'm not going to do that. I don't know why somebody would say that I would insult you.
Because Mark's in a cantankerous mood today.
No, I am not. I mean, that's a ridiculous statement. I have the utmost respect for your cranking abilities. And what I want to know is there going to be a fall cranking pattern on this schedule, Keith?
Yeah, I would say in every one of them. I don't know how Chickamauga is set up. I think it probably depends on the amount of grass and how good the grass is, and probably how hot a summer we have. But that'll play a factor for sure. But the other ones most definitely. I think it'll be probably in the winning pattern for most of the rest of the whole year from here on out.
Have you ever fished a fall stretch, I guess, for lack of a better term, in your career? Or since you came on, FLW and the Elite Series, I mean, yeah, you've had the TTBC and maybe a one-off tournament or there, but I mean, we've got October, November on Santee, Chickamauga, and Lake Fork. That's you got to be salivating.
I'm excited about it, but no, I've never, as a professional, I've never done that. I mean, it's kind of like how we grew up fishing. We'd fish all year and really get cranking in September and October and November for our championships. Before I was a pro, that was the norm. And like I said, that's the time of year I feel like I'm best. So no complaints from this camp.
Is this schedule, do you think, and I know this is looking way ahead and hopefully it does not change and we get this in, is it going to be a busy time after, that November 8th? You have the holiday season and the New Year, Christmas, Thanksgiving, and we always talk about how much it takes to get ready for the start of the season, which traditionally starts in now January. You're talking about less than 2 months, new boats, new wraps, everything like that. I mean, is that going to create a little bit more burden, or is that just not that big of a deal?
No, it is a big deal. There's a lot to get ready at the beginning of the season, and we've a lot of anglers have brought that up this year. bass is the fact that, could we maybe start the season later? I don't know what their plans are for next year as far as that goes, but I know it was a conversation piece just because it's so, so many anglers are getting ready for the start of the season at the same time. It's hard to get boats. It's hard to get them rigged and wrapped and get jerseys. I would love to utilize the whole year. Maybe you start in March and it becomes the norm to run through November. And I think a lot of fans would appreciate that too. They can follow and learn about things that happen in the fall, through professional events, things that we haven't exposed. And I believe it will be a good move for everybody if this becomes more of a trend.
What have you been doing during the break, Keith?
Well, we've been working on around our house a lot. We got a little bit of land, and we've been doing a lot of crappie fishing and things like that.
You said a bad word there. Matt, he's into the whole crappie thing.
Oh man, I'm getting into it big time. We went, we fish crappie about 2 or 3 days a week on Rayburn. Going tomorrow again. So that's been fun to get out and have a little bit of change of pace. Also, just helps me spending. We got a bass open on Rayburn this fall, so it helps me getting out there and kind of relearning the lake again after a couple years off. But really, that's been my focus. Just kind of fishing around here and catching up on every little thing that I never get to catch up on.
Ask him about the crankbait, Matt.
What?
Oh, I thought you had a question about the color of the crankbait.
No, I talked to, we had
Tim Horton
on, and I said, what is it with the chartreuse blue back? And he just got quiet, and he's like, yeah, that's a color only the real crankers throw. And it seems like every time I interviewed Keith Combs over the last 8 years, he just goes, chartreuse powder blue back. And that's the way he says it. He kind of trails it off with a little wink at the end. So do they see that color better? Is it a confidence deal? What's with that? Because, it really doesn't look like a shad or look like a bluegill.
No, I don't think it resembles much of what they eat. But, a lot of times I use that color to really kind of draw a reaction bite. It's a color that I fish on it's a bright color. I like to fish it on an aggressive retrieve. So I think just it catches their eye. It's moving fast, and I guess that's why they eat it. I don't know, but they eat it. I know that.
If you had to pick 3 colors in a 6.8 or 10XD, and those are the only 3 colors, regardless of water clarity, time of the year, or anything, like if you just had 3 of those colors in those deeper diving crankbaits, what are your 3?
I would probably go chartreuse and powder blue, of course, Tennessee shad, and chartreuse and powder blue.
Now, is there ever a time, and we see a lot of wild square bill colors. Dude, you look at like the 1.5s or anything. There's all sorts of wild colors. You don't really see the wild colors so much in the deeper diving crankbaits. Is that a thing where it doesn't matter, or is there ever a time where you'll throw one of those wild colors deep diving?
I get into it more when we go smallmouth fishing, clear water type places like, last year on St. Clair and also at the Thousand Islands tournament, I threw some kind of exotic colors and deep divers, things I normally don't use. But, I think in your square bill, of course, you're fishing it shallower, and I think there's better sunlight penetration. Color probably, tuning in your color is probably more important. But when you're in 18 to 20 or 25 foot, I think your base colors, whites or reds or greens, that's good enough. But in clear water situations, I like to kind of tune it in a little bit more.
Interesting.
All right, what can you tell us, man? Can you give us any juice about fork in November?
Honestly, I don't know much about it outside of outside of the summertime. I just haven't spent any time there. Really never tried to do any research, or I don't know anything about it that time of year, and that's the honest truth. But, you know, I know how Toledo and Rayburn fish that time of year. They're kind of wide open. It gets tougher. You know, I don't think we're going to see 100-pound belts going to everybody in the top 10 or anything like that. I mean, I think it's going to be some big bags, but it's going to be very hard to catch a big bag every day. It's just going to be a guy burns his stuff up a lot quicker that time of year. So you kind of have to mix in junk fishing around Rayburn and Toledo that time of year. Maybe fish a top water a little bit, maybe fish a deep pattern a little bit. But it's going to be interesting. I've been scratching my head and just kind of trying to figure that it's going to be like some of the tournaments I fished on Rayburn and Toledo in the fall. But no, I don't know much about it, honestly.
Do we have a better chance of having a tournament won exclusively on a topwater with Santee and Chickamauga, and maybe even throw possibly Champlain in there, but like a true topwater tournament on these lakes where it usually just plays a part?
I think it'll be a big factor definitely at a place like Chickamauga, but to have it completely won, I would doubt. I mean, just, you know, just that time of year, differences in the weather from day to day would make it hard just to have anything work for 4 consecutive days. So, but I do think it'll be more of a pattern than, you know, now it's just kind of a thing where maybe a guy picks it up here and there and catches a key fish in a tournament. But in the fall, it's definitely going to play a lot more. Some of your big top waters and stuff will probably get some traction this fall.
Have you ever exclusively won a multi-day tournament on a topwater?
No, not a multi-day.
Have you ever tried to win a multi-day tournament on a topwater?
I can't say I have. I mean, we've won, you know, some big one day events on frogs, but you know, honestly, no.
Is it tough?
Multi-day stuff that I fish, it's never really been right.
Is it tougher, in your opinion, to win a 3 or 4 day tournament exclusively on a swim bait or exclusively on a topwater?
I would say on topwater, just because, you know, the conditions. I mean, how many times do you get, you know, if the weather's right for a topwater, you get sunny, calm conditions, you know, in the fall, and it sets them up in the grass the same way every day, and you get a lot of water to fish. Well, that can be a factor, but man, it's just going to be different every day. You know, October, the wind blows different every single day.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let's do this, man. Are you good on time, Keith? I know we were a little late. Are you good on time?
I'm good.
All right, let's do this.
Yeah,
let's take a break, and then we're going to come back with some questions on the instant feedback. So just hold tight. We'll be back in a few with Keith Combs. Everybody stay tuned.
Let's face it, fishing electronics are no longer an afterthought. They've become a necessity. And at the Bass Tank, our experts match you with the right electronics, provide professional installation, and educate you to help maximize your catching results while providing support along the way. Because let's be honest, it's about catching, not just fishing. And when you're ready for better results, join the Bass Tank team. Visit us today on Facebook or go to thebasstank.com.
Blue Water by TH Marine. Offering LED lighting solutions for your boat, trailer, truck, ATV, and so much more. Engineered and built to be rugged with waterproof and submersible options. Designed for easy installation, Blue Water is available in a variety of colors and styles. All backed by a limited lifetime warranty. Blue Water by TH Marine.
The name SPRO says it all. SPRO stands for Sports Professionals. When you look at the pro staff that Spro has brought on board over the past 15 years, it's been pretty incredible. I mean, one got it just then. From the development of the rock crawler to the McStick, from the Fat Papa to the Little John series, when you tie a Spro bait on, you know it's been designed by a professional to get the job done.
As a professional angler, you've got so many things on your mind. Any advantage that we have is key. And not only rods and reels and lines and baits, but in our clothes. And the guys at AFCO, I mean, they have something for every situation. There's nothing AFCO hasn't thought about with the fishermen in mind. It's designed for fishermen, by fishermen, for every scenario you can come to. Any fish, any water, any condition, AFCO has you covered.
All of us on the Pro Tournament Trail use Gamakatsu hooks.
Why?
Because they are absolutely the best.
It's not about how many bites you get.
It's how many you put in the boat.
Gamakatsu makes hooks for every fishing style.
We didn't come this far to lose fish.
Did you?
For more information, visit gamakatsu.com.
The Big Bite Baits Kamikaze Swim On is a very unique bait, and it's got a full body but with ribs to give it a bigger profile but not more plastic. It's got a jointed tail that gives it a lot of action, as well as this up and down crawl type trail with holes and ribs in it, so it creates a bubble trail almost. This bait is supposed to be fished upside down or vertical like this on a great for a chatterbait. I prefer it on a swim jig as well, but you can also cut it down and put it on the back of a finesse jig. You know, flip it around for some spotted bass or flipping docks. Anytime you want a small, compact, you know, little trailer for it, this is great for it. So check out the full lineup of swim-ons at bigbitebaits.com.
All right, we are back on a Monday, a jam-packed week here on BTL. But right now, we're going to continue with our special guest, Keith Combs. And Keith, are you on the water? It sounds like you're on the water.
No, I'm sitting out here on the back porch, but probably going to be on the water before too long.
All right.
Do you live on the water?
We live a couple miles from Rayburn. But no, we don't live on the water. We got a little pond we built by the house.
You got fish in it?
Yeah, my wife caught an 11-pounder out of it this year.
Did Duke catch that 11-pounder before she caught
it? I think I knew him years ago, but he's grown a bunch. So he's put on 3 or 4 pounds, or at least 3 pounds since we put him in there.
How many 8-pluses would you say are in the pond?
I'd say it's probably a dozen. It's about a 4.5-acre pond. It probably has a dozen, 8 or bigger.
Got crappie in there and bluegill and stuff, or is it just a big bass pond?
Bluegill, tilapia, shiners, just forage. No crappie. I read that was a no-no for a pond.
So it's like a Ray Scott pond, like it's a built right pond.
Yeah, I got to build it, over a year's time, just kind of as I wanted to, and it's done better than I expected. It's staying full of water, and the fish are really looking good.
So you started it, like you started with a dry pond and like built it the way you wanted it, or was it already there?
Yeah, when we bought the property, it had about a 1-acre pond on it, and so I built a big dam behind that pond, and which of course, then when it filled up, it flooded the old pond, so I had that natural drop and the old pond dam with all the wood and stuff on it, and then I was able to kind of carve out channels and humps and points and stuff throughout the new pond and sink timber where I wanted it. It was a big project. It was fun to do.
You learn a lot about. I mean, I would think that would have to help in your fishing. I mean, learning about all that and all the stuff that you fished over the years.
Yeah, what's crazy is that the fish, it took them forever to kind of start relating to the cover. Like I put channels and drops just in certain places, and I knew exactly where they were. I had timber where I thought it should be, and it was really a year and a half until the fish started to relate to those places. You know, when I filled it, I was like, well, there's going to be a bass here every time you fish this little spot. And it took them forever to start kind of getting used to the place and start relating to that stuff. And I think it's just that was shocking. But you know, they get really shallow. The water's kind of dingy in our pond, so they get really shallow. And you know, I've seen some spawning fish this year do things that I've never seen. You know, I mean, you actually see parts of the fish really before you see the fish. It's that dingy. But yeah, it teaches you to kind of be keen in that shallow water sense and not spook them when you're fishing from the bank. They're so spooky.
What
but
have
yeah,
they been?
cool.
What have they done that's different that you've never seen?
Like visually, like you're looking for fins, you're looking for movement. Typically, I'm out there looking for fish, but just I guess I've never really fished that muddy of a place for spawning fish. You know, you can still see them, but you got to be looking for different things. You're not looking for the fish. You really have to be keyed into movement or them chasing something like that. You know, I hadn't fished a lot of places like that. Huh. Usually I can see the fish.
Interesting. Man, what were you doing? It sounded like the audio feed we had, it was like you had a Darth Vader mask on or something.
When?
It's happened throughout the interview.
Over. It's all good now.
Yeah, it's good now. It was weird. It was like you had a mask on or something.
I don't know.
I
don't have a mask on.
All right. It is what it is. All right. I want to know. All right. You already talked about Lake Fork. And when you look at the schedule, what event are you looking forward to the most, with 3 of those obviously being in New York?
I'm probably looking forward to Thousand. It's a toss-up between Thousand Islands and Cayuga. I really, love Thousand Islands. It's probably one of my favorite places to fish. We always stay around up in New York after the tournaments and fish for fun, and I look forward to getting another crack at that one. And I really like the way Cayuga is one of the. It may, as far as I know, it's the best largemouth fishery in upstate New York. I really like the way it sets up. I mean, but it fishes. It's a northern fishery, but it fishes a lot like we fish around here. Cranking, big worms, punching grass. I'm excited about those two.
All right, a couple of questions from the instant feedback. Denny in Michigan wants to know, can you talk a little bit about your youth tournament success on Belton and Stillhouse Hollow?
Yeah, that was the lakes I grew up fishing. We started probably when I was 13, started fishing club level stuff, and didn't take long till we were fishing, all the big team circuits. That's a pretty diverse area. You have grass lakes, and you have smallmouth lakes, lakes with boat docks. So it was a good place to grow up fishing before we moved, to East Texas, just because it's so diverse. There's a lot that I can draw on that I learned when I was in my 20s from fishing all those Central Texas lakes.
All right, Andy in Indiana wants to know, can the fish really see the color differences when a bait is 15 feet deep?
I think it's going to depend, like we were talking earlier, so much on the watercolor and just the speed of your presentation. I think if you're fishing a jig, crawling a jig in 15 foot of water, they have a lot better chance to really kind of pick out the details and decide if that's something they want to eat based on color. But if you're burning a crankbait through water that you have only a foot or two of visibility in, I don't think it's near as important. But there's definitely times when they want one extreme over the other. Like they want a shad pattern versus a crawl pattern.
We've heard David Fritz talk about this in other pros, but I don't know if I've ever had anyone explain to me, when I catch a fish on a crankbait, let's say a deeper diving crankbait, 5-6 deal, how do I know if that is a reaction bite or a feeding bite?
You stumped him.
I don't know.
You know what I mean, though? You sit there, you go, oh, you want a birdie, you want to get a reaction bite. Then other times, oh, they're really eating it. They're keying on this bait. Well, how do I know which one it is and whether I need to speed it up and be more deflection or whether I need to slow it down and make it look more natural?
Well, you want to have the fish doing both. I mean, you want to be able to make them react and as well think it's something real. That's part of what a crankbait does extremely well. I mean, it resembles a lot of natural forages, but at the same time, just with its ability to deflect off cover, it's always going to be kind of getting a fish to react to it. But I don't know that it's that important that you try to figure out, whether he's trying to eat it because he's hungry or he's eating it at a reaction.
You just want to get the bite.
To eat it. You just get the bite. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you could because, well, I tell you, honestly, there are periods, now that I think about it, there are periods when I'm fishing a crankbait and I'm just getting tons of short strikes or push bites and things like that. And I know it's just a reaction type thing then. And that's when you start kind of varying retrieves and changing colors and hitting that school at different times of the day. But other than that, just the way that they're not eating any bait, just kind of pushing it around and stuff like that. I don't know that you can really determine why they ate it.
All right, Russ on the instant feedback, along with a couple other people, want to know, how is this schedule going to cut into your hunting in the fall?
That's the first thing I thought about. I'm like, man, I hope they don't get us going into December.
Yeah.
Because I've been thinking, since we haven't had tournaments, it seems like my mind starts wandering to deer hunting just about every day. But it's not gonna. We'll wrap it up in November. Then I usually have my charity tournament on Rayburn. We'll probably end up pushing that back this year. But it's going to cut into the hunting season a little bit. But that's okay. That's okay. I'm still going to get a few good trips in, and I'm just excited to go fishing, man, at this point.
All right, Matthew, anything else?
No, that's it.
All right, you got to be pumped up, obviously, about the schedule. I am very, very excited as a fan. I've wanted to see this for a long time. I miss seeing you guys fish during the fall. And not just pre-spawn, spawn, and post-spawn. So I think from a fan perspective, a lot of people are going to be excited what you guys can do. I think the schedule is just off the charts. And, man, can't wait to see what you guys are going to do, Keith.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Like I said, I hope it becomes it opens some eyes and hopefully it becomes more the norm. It's just going to be nice just to go out and get to fish at different times of the year. And I love to see how tournaments unfold too. And there's going to be some mystery ones for sure this year.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, man. Wish you the best. Be safe when you head for Eufaula here very soon. And best of luck to you, man.
All right, guys. Thanks. Appreciate y'all having me on.
All right, man. Take care. There you have it. Keith Combs, and top 10 cranker in the world? Yes or no?
Yeah, sure. Here's something that we haven't talked about that's pretty cool. Going to these lakes, I mean, we can pretty much know. Well, I guess kind of got introduced to the spy bait a little bit, but we pretty much know how it'll go down on Cayuga, St. Lawrence, and Champlain, and St. Clair. But those Santee, Chickamauga, and Fork, man, we might see some new baits that haven't been, or some baits that are in everyone's, but some new baits that haven't really been exposed or highlighted on the national level, as far as more kind of maybe some top. I mean, there's a bunch of stuff that guys have in their box that they use during the fall that stays in the garage or in the truck or buried in the boat for the rest of the year. And it's coming at a time where you've got hopefully all of these tackle companies back up and running, and their supply chain distribution is back up and going, to where it could be, you have a couple epic events there, and it could be a real boost to, especially without ICAST this year, to a new category of baits that guys don't just go, oh, okay, that's a new color or a new tweak and get one or two, but like really get into some really cool baits that help out some of the manufacturers.
No, that's a great point. And I love fall fishing. I think there's a tremendous fan base out there that likes fall fishing, and we're going to see what guys can catch them in the fall, obviously.
Yep.
All right. Man, I have spent a vast majority of time on the show trying to go through the instant feedback. I've tried to post as much as I can, but it's an interesting discussion, and what's cool is you have people that are very passionate about all areas of this tournament fishing, and that's one of the cool things about doing this show, Matt, is we get the feedback from the people. They disagree, they agree, but one thing, absolutely, they are passionate about what's going on, and it's an unfortunate situation that we're dealing with what we're dealing with right now.
But it's also, in a sense, fortunate that we have a season still.
Yeah.
And that we're in a sport, an activity where you can, still kind of safely continue right now, and that there is hope.
Yeah.
And that we have dates, and all three organizations have worked their butts off to get to the point to have these three press releases here to say this is when we're going to fish and this is what's up. And then if you have a podcast and you get to talk about it, man, it's new stuff every day, because next it's going to be who's fishing what, who's fishing where, what the fields are, how it's going down. So always new. I mean, you never know what's going to come up. And it always seems to happen on a Thursday or Friday after a week of shows, and then we have to wait a Saturday and Sunday. So guess what I'm doing? Mark, guess where I'm going?
When?
Right now.
What?
I am going to go meet with Brad Hallman, and we are going to select the winning BFE flipping bait from Big Bite Baits. We had I'm right around 1,500 color and name submissions.
Wow. That's awesome.
So really I'm going to print it off. I'm going to go hang out with Brad. We're going to go through it. We're going to get it narrowed down. And then the plan is, Mark, on Wednesday to announce that winning color.
When? Next week?
This week.
Oh,
Wednesday.
this week.
We're trying to get this stuff done. Go through it. But I mean, I've already been through every single one of the submissions. There's some hilarious stuff. A lot of Tiger King references.
Really?
There's one called the Screaming Jeffries. It's
that won't make
it's like red with white fins that makes it look like you're wearing a vest.
That's creative.
A lot of unique stuff in there. So we will go through that, and then Brad is also going to film the process, so that'll come out in a video, and then we'll have the winner, and then we'll get them on BTL.
Cool.
Along with their 500 free baits. And like I said, Mark, first half of the show, simply my opinion, not speaking on behalf of any of the anglers or any of the organizations. I talked to a lot of different people, and my opinion only, just like your opinion.
Yeah.
Is your opinion.
I did the same. I mean, I spoke with a couple of guys, and they gave me kind of their feedback and everything. But I think whoever the fan was that put that post on the YouTube feedback about the businessman
versus a fishing aspect,
I think that's dead on. All right, because if you have watched this show and you have been a fan, I mean, obviously I'm old school when it comes to a lot of stuff. Matt is kind of the younger generation, and I think it comes out in many ways on this show, both in a good standpoint and a controversial standpoint. But once again, it's great that people are even passionate about whatever your opinion, whatever your thoughts are on any situation that we're dealing with in the bass fishing world, and that kind of defines the makeup of this show. And I know Matt and I both were working really hard to get the best guest and really give you the most when it comes to the 3 E's. I have built this thing on the 3 E's. Do you know what the 3 E's are, Matthew?
Yes.
All right. Entertain.
Educate.
That's that OU education right there.
And engage.
And I think we are accomplishing that at the highest level.
Yeah, and greatly appreciate anybody. I mean, there's a lot of things you could do to spend your time, but to give us your opinion and we do read them and take the time out of your day to engage with us is really cool.
Yeah, very cool. All right, tomorrow, a very, very interesting show. We had him on, 4 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that?
Yeah, yep.
All right, a lot has changed in the life of Zell Rowland, and I mentioned old school. Zell's been doing this game for over 40 years and very synonymous with, obviously, the topwater bait, but there's a lot going on in Zell's life right now, and he kind of approached me and said, hey, man, I would really like to come on the show and talk a little bit about it. So tomorrow's show is going to be, I think, very, very interesting, and we'll get his take on so much of what's going on in the professional fishing world and obviously what's going on with one of the iconic persons in this game when it comes to relating to a specific technique and bait. I mean, you have very few of those guys that are like that. So going to be a good show tomorrow, and then Velvic on Wednesday and Stephen Browning on Thursday. So how was Table Rock, man?
It was good.
You ended up fishing. I told you last week. I told
you. 3
you.
or 4 hours on there. I went and just shot some stuff with Chad Morgenthaler, Brian Snowden, and Dave Mansu.
Yeah.
So I actually got Morgenthaler and Mansu. I jumped on Travis Manson's Smallmouth Crush live stream one of the nights, and they're like, "Oh, go get them." It was 4.5 hours long.
Oh my!
I didn't get off of there till like 1 a.m.
Wow.
They were on there for like 2 hours.
Really?
Oh yeah.
How's Snowden doing?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
All right.
I got to see his legendary shop. Immaculate. Pristine.
I had no doubt.
Organized. Tackle boxes 90-degree angle. The guy has it together from an organization. I mean, he is what everyone should strive to be when it comes to tackle organization. He doesn't have that box. The box, the random cardboard box, or the tackle warehouse box, where everything just gets chucked in, and then to find something you have to dump it out, and then your girlfriend, your wife's like, "What are you doing tonight?" You're like, "I am organizing this box of lures." He doesn't have that. It's all organized. Here's the weird part. Here's the bad part about it. He can't go out and work on tackle because his tackle's already done worked.
Well, he's on top of it. I like Brian, man. Good dude. All right, everybody, be safe. Great show today. Everybody out there, enjoy the day. We will talk to you tomorrow. That's it. We're out of here.